Welcome back to the Better Stack podcast. I'm James and I'm joined by
Richard, hello.
And Andres, hello.
In this podcast, we talk about what we're interested in as developers, and while we don't always cover AI, these days it's pretty hard to ignore it. So this week's main topics are Sora 2, some of the fun ways that I found to break it, and also the Claude agent SDK. We'll start out with the release of Sora 2, which is OpenAI's new video model, but something that was actually very interesting about the way they released this is they kind of just released it as a TikTok competitor. So you scroll down your feed and then you also create and tag your friends in these AI things, and it's sort of just a weird way that I've seen to release a model when it seems like maybe they're trying to compete with TikTok, although personally, I don't think that's ever going to work. Some other interesting things about Sora 2 before we jump into our thoughts on it is it has a Cameos feature where you can record a video of your face, and then you're able to upload that and give permission to your friends or even everyone to be able to create cameos of you and use you in that AI videos. So you've seen a lot of Sam Altman on your Twitter feeds. He seems to be everywhere because he put himself on there, and there is so many memes and so many people making Sam Altman do some weird stuff on my Twitter feed over the last week. I was just wondering if any of you have seen any of these yet.
I've seen too many. I don't know if they're exclusive to Twitter, but yeah, I've seen one where his head is coming out of a toilet and he's just singing a song.
He did the skibbity toilet.
Oh, the skibbity toilet, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you've seen it?
Yeah, I think it was Theo who generated that. And
really?
He was like, Sam Altman is going to regret this. And there was a lot of them on the feed of people making Sam do some weird stuff. He's definitely the most popular person to cameo. I do love the idea that there might be people out there that are going to see him as a meme and just not even know who he is. Obviously, we as sort of developers watching OpenAI will, but one day he's just going to be recognized as like that meme guy in AI videos.
Yeah, I'm wondering how many people are there who don't know what Sam Altman is at this point.
I think there's a lot, because I mentioned to my wife, Sora 2's out, a lot of memes about Sam Altman on Twitter, and she said, who's Sam Altman? I was like,
really?
Oh, he's the founder of OpenAI, and she pays for ChatGPT Pro, and she has no idea who the guy is. So, yeah.
Yeah, outside of sort of developer bubbles, I don't think he's too popular yet. He's not on like Elon Musk level, I'd say, in terms of sort of common popularity. But I think he's getting there with this AI tool. Maybe that's one of his plans. But yeah, besides that, also the model is actually very good itself. Like it's pretty incredible at generating videos. I've played around with it a little bit too much. You do have to be in the US or Canada at the moment, and you do get 100 free generations a day, and then it just limits. I don't think it has a paid plan yet, which seems insanely high, right? Like 100 videos a day for free seems like they are burning cash and also the world on this.
So before we talk about the 100 generations, let's go back to talk about how you actually got an invite, because it's a bit of a weird process to get on the platform, right?
Initially there was some invite codes that some OpenAI employees tweeted on Twitter, where you could copy them, and I think it had like 10,000 people could use the invite code. I actually just went on a Reddit thread and happened to refresh the page where they were sharing invite codes, and it worked. I don't know how lucky I got, because like they go in seconds on there. And that way I got the invite code, and I also had to use a VPN because I'm actually based in the UK to log on to Sora and actually use that. And also had to change the App Store on my phone to be based in the US to be able to download the app. And the app is a way better experience than the website. But once I did that, I don't actually need a VPN anymore. The app just works in the UK without a VPN.
I was going to say thank you, James, for the invite code, because I also in that way got access to it. I didn't try the app, I just tried the web interface. And I am situated in Canada, so I didn't have to use a VPN for that. But yeah, it's been a crazy experience as well. But Richard, what were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say that when I saw the website for Sora 2 being released, I saw the app was iOS only. And as an Android guy, I just ignored it. I thought, do you know what? If they're going to treat us as second-rate citizens, you guys can have your Sora. I'll just be happy with whatever's out there. What's the cool thing? VO3 is the cool thing. Yeah.
I'll be honest, you're not missing out on much.
Yeah, but to be fair, I think the proportion of Android users here in North America is very low. Like, whenever a new product comes out, like you have to prioritize iOS because most of the people have iPhones here. Even like some medical companies, like I had this situation where I had to use like a medical insurance app and they just didn't have an Android. I didn't have to use it, but I heard from friends that they didn't have an Android version just because the market is not big enough for them to actually, you know, set aside funds to make the Android version for the app.
Is that the same in Europe? Is it iOS heavy as well, or is it Android heavy? I'm not sure.
I think we might be a little bit better than America, but I think it probably does still lean towards iPhone.
Yeah.
I think the tech industry in general sort of leans quite Apple as well, especially in Silicon Valley. So most things tend to be released macOS and iOS first, just because that's sort of what everyone's on there, so they can share it with their friends.
I was gonna change the topic about like how have you found the whole experience with cameoing yourself in Sora?
It's actually been quite fun for me. I find it funny. I don't think anyone else does, because it is sort of weird to just see yourself in a video, and it is like, it's extremely convincing in certain ways. If you ask it for just like a selfie video, it will include essentially everything in your background when you take the cameo. So it's really good at just sort of making selfie videos from where you took the cameo. So I actually sent a video to my parents, and I was like, you probably need to watch out now because this is an AI video. And they were like, yeah, we would never be able to tell unless it has obviously this Sora watermark, which they do make sure to try and plaster all over sort of the videos, and it moves around as well to try and stop people removing it. So they are trying to stop you from scamming people with it. But yeah,
but even if it moves, it's so easy to remove it, right? Because
yeah, you could remove it, but it's, yeah, I guess it needs a little bit more work than just downloading it and sharing it. So it's more the people that do want to scam will probably still be able to do it, but less sort of
more
a random
manual
individual.
Work.
Yeah, then there's a bit more manual work. But yeah, cameoing yourself, it's been fun. It's not always perfect. There's sometimes where it doesn't look like me and it looks very cursed and sort of scares my partner and my friends, as it's like, it's uncanny. It looks like me, but like it's not. I was also really surprised that it clones the voice pretty well.
Yeah, voice cloning is a lot easier than cloning your physical presence, because, you know, our eyes are very well tuned to spot any imperfections in the human body. But I was gonna say, I think it's overhyped a bit, because I do see that like those backgrounds are floating and the pixels are very floaty, and the whole video kind of looks very, I don't know what the right word is. It looks very muddy and kind of plastered all over with some kind of an AI algorithm. It's not crisp.
Yeah, the backgrounds does tend to always have this like weird flash. I actually saw a conspiracy theory on Twitter that this is like that form of watermarking, and I do agree it's overhyped. I think it is genuinely this social side and the cameos bit of the feature that's just made it go obviously so viral, because everyone wants to try it out, put themselves on it, and then share it on Twitter and get people to make cameos of them as well. So I think without that, it would probably be less of a jump than what we've seen from like VO3. But yeah, the other angle I wanted to go down with Sora is obviously the training of it and just how much blatant copyright theft there is. Like, it is absolutely insane. Half of the Sora that I see on my feed is either SpongeBob, Mario, or like anything like that from companies that are pretty notorious from suing people for copyright. But it seems that Sora 2 just does not care.
Yeah, but how can you avoid that? How can you avoid the training data? Because you train on what's on the internet, and if it's available, you just kind of take it and train the model on it. So I'm sure there are ways they could have avoided that, but they wouldn't have much to train on if they did do that. So yeah.
Yeah, but I think the point is, like, just because something's on the internet doesn't mean that you can steal it and use it in your training data. True. I think the point is they should have asked for permission from everyone to include it in their training data. But unfortunately, I think in this world, we've actually just gone past that point. Like, they've done it now.
Wasn't there like a news article this week where, I don't know if it was OpenAI, but they said that we will use your content for training data unless you opt out. So now everyone has to actively opt out, otherwise we'll just keep using it. And what are the legal ramifications of that?
Yeah, I think there was something like that, and with the cameos, they can also use them as much as they want unless you opt out. But I think a lot of platforms have that for like marketing purposes. But yeah, it's been very fun to try and see where the training data's come from as well, because I did once ask it for like a video of just something playing on a TV, and it just put SpongeBob on the TV. I never even mentioned that. but for some reason the model it weirdly has a lot of SpongeBob on it. I don't know why. I don't know if they just had a SpongeBob archive that they used to train it, but it has tons of that. So yeah, just put that on the TV without me asking. I was then trying to see if it could generate YouTube videos from the actual YouTube link. So I just pasted a random YouTube video, but instead of giving me that video, it literally gave me like a 1-to-1 copy of a Rickroll. Like, so clearly has trained on what the Rickroll is. It was like the exact same. I then asked it for Charlie Bit My Finger, and again, it was like a 1-to-1 copy of that, and it was just, yeah, it is clearly trained on some pretty viral stuff, and it does try and stop you. If you say, like, I asked for Rick and Morty to do something, and it said, like, no, this would violate our guidelines, but then I just asked for Rick to do something, and then it happily generated the Rick and Morty video. So, like, it seems that filters on this are pretty weak. And my other really fun loophole I've used is it won't generate like Joe Rogan clips or things like that because I was trying it with like the most popular people. But I asked it to generate me a video of Sam Altman watching Joe Rogan on his TV, where the TV is always in focus and Sam Altman is off camera, and then it was just happily generating Joe Rogan podcast clips. So yeah, I've been sort of abusing it a bit and trying to find ways around to see just how much it has in its training data. And the one thing that did surprise me, as I said, was the voices, because I asked it for like LTT, so Linus on his podcast, and then I also asked it for a streamer I watched called Atriarch, and it very closely sounds like his voice. It wouldn't do the likeness, but it does very closely sound like that voice. So I think that voice model is also a little bit interesting in there as well.
Kind of shifting topics a bit, going back to what you said about you get 100 free generations and you don't know how they're able to pay for that. In my head, I kind of think OpenAI have, like, they're the company you go to for an AI chatbot, and the person down the street, they won't know much about LLMs, but they'll know about ChatGPT. And there's a high chance that people have paid for it who don't know much about the details. So I'm sure they've got a lot of money somewhere that they can burn to a certain extent. I'm sure they're still, venture capital funded or whatever, but they've got money to burn. And I think if they want to make the app quote unquote viral, then they can sacrifice some of that money to give people 100 free. But 100 is quite a lot. So it's amazing they're doing that.
Yeah, the clips are only 10 seconds, but as I said, I don't doubt they have a load of money to burn, but it does seem like they're burning a lot of money with this one. Yeah. And as I said earlier, I think the world has probably been burnt a little bit for a lot of random AI slop that no one's going to watch again.
And I feel like for Sam Altman himself, this is kind of a risky move to put him out there as this cameo character, because then from this point on, anything Sam Altman says, you have to take with a grain of salt, because you'll always be questioning if that's a Sora video or did Sam Altman actually said that.
Yeah, here's the really funny thing I saw on Twitter. There was a conspiracy theory that there was going to be some blackmail on Sam Altman, so he really quickly released this model, so now he can just be like, yeah, it's AI. Like, that's not me, that's AI. So, like, there's a video out there somewhere that's real of him, and he's hidden it now with a load of AI-generated ones.
Yeah.
So you've used VO3, James. How does that compare to this?
I think VO3, some of the clips that you could get out of it did look a bit better. Like, it didn't, as Andrew said, there was like a weird background flicker on some of these videos. And yeah, it seems, as I said, it also just loves to do SpongeBob and Rick and Morty, but for actually generating new scenes, I found VO3 a little bit better, and it could get sort of like, it could get a look that was 4K in VO3, whereas Sora, again, it does seem to be sort of poor quality. But again, I think it is that Cameos feature that's really sort of selling this model.
And I do want to say, like, VO3 and Sora are, like, the most popular ones, but they're quite limited. Like, on VO3, you also had, like, limited amount of seconds to generate. But they're, my LinkedIn feed, because I follow a lot of video generation content. My LinkedIn feed is full of like all these other companies that are doing video generation that is more controlled in a controlled environment. You can actually like use like depth maps and use change the environments of that video and track human poses and everything. And so these tools are actually better if you want something controlled, whereas this is like, you just put in a prompt and you'll get a random video out of it and, take it or leave it in a kind of way. So I'm curious if OpenAI is planning to add more control to their Sora models, because right now, yeah, that's all they're good for, just having fun and generating some random slop. But it's not a usable tool. Same for VO3. I can't imagine it being like an actual usable tool for something.
Yeah, well, the thing with Sora 2 as well is it doesn't even have an API yet, so we don't know sort of what the cost of this is. I think, obviously, once we find out the cost, we'll know a little bit more about how much money OpenAI just burnt on these random AI slop TikToks for a while. But yeah, it will be curious once we get our hands on the actual API to see how you prompt it as well, because it does seem like, based on the prompt that you send in the Sora 2 app, that it has sort of another workflow that goes in before it generates the video, that like generates a script and maybe like a bit of a storyboard of what the video should be, because it sort of does add a fair bit to those videos.
I think so. So Sora 2 and Veo are the only ones that can do sound, right? No other model does sound.
I don't know about some of the other models, but they are the most popular ones, and it was actually one of the things that's quite impressive about Sora 2 is it almost seems like the audio is also being generated sort of separately from the video, because you can have like an audio track that is playing constantly, even if the scene is changing, which some of the other models have struggled with. When the scene changed, it would like change the audio entirely, because you could tell it was sort of generating it alongside it, which is why I said there might be sort of a separate workflow that they're going through to sort of, generate the audio with a little bit of a script and like maybe where the timestamps are on the screen, and then, whatever magic they're doing behind the scenes. It does seem to be a pretty good model at generating sort of TikTok-like videos, basically.
And I think, like, if you wanted to hack your way around and create your own Sora-like model, you could use Comfy UI, and there are a lot of models, like the Tencent models have, like, the WAN video generation models, and then I believe there's also one that can generate audio from the video. So you could just, stitch them together to create your own custom pipeline. It would probably most definitely have less compute than Sora 2. But I think the magic is when you try to, combine these tools into some kind of a custom workflow that works for yourself. And if anyone's interested, I actually did a video about Comfy UI, so go watch that.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things I noticed when sort of looking through my Twitter feed as well, is like people were amazed, obviously like I was, that it could generate Joe Rogan clips. But for me, like the amazement of that wasn't the fact it could generate the clips, because we've been able to do that for years. There's been like deepfake tools, and you can train like a custom LoRa on Comfy UI and get it to generate it very specifically. For me, it was just the fact that it's clearly in their training data somewhere. And I also think, obviously, the difference is that this is a pretty widespread tool now that makes it so easy for anyone to do, whereas Comfy UI, you need to watch a great tutorial like yours to be able to understand it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised, like, when you give, like, the example you gave, if you just give it, like, generate a TV screen with a cartoon, the first thing is going to be SpongeBob. Like, it won't even try to create something original. It would just blatantly, like, take something from the training data, like SpongeBob.
No, I asked it for The Office as well, like the intro to The Office, and it wasn't exactly right, but like the first two shots it was Steve Carell. Like it was just so obviously Michael Scott and Steve Carell that it had trained on. So I would love to know what went into the training data.
And I saw from your feed, because the way it works, if you get the invite code, you automatically get James as your friend and you follow each other. And I saw on your feed that you generated a lot of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia clips.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny too. But it didn't get the actors' faces correctly.
They were just generic. It doesn't seem to have It's Always Sunny like perfectly in the training data. It can't get the actors right, so it just creates like a rough sort of almost their doppelgangers, what they would look like. But again, with that, in one of them, I asked it to do, in It's Always Sunny, there's like a golden god rant that the main character does, Dennis. And the audio that it gave me for that was like nearly very close to the exact audio that like he has, and like sounded like his voice, which is why, again, I think it does have that clip in there somewhere, because, I mean, that one's been quite memed, so it's likely that's been on YouTube or something as well. But yeah, it's been very fun. Oh,
yeah, for sure. I guess it's the talk of the internet right now as well, right?
Yeah, although the funny thing is with the feed, and I sort of forgot to mention this, but I suppose it doesn't really matter, is like, obviously they want you to use it like TikTok, but the amount of times I've opened up the Sora app and just scrolled and then realized like, I'm not going to get any value here and gone to TikTok instead. Because right. With the AI one, I know that no one's put effort into this, Whereas with TikTok, I'll scroll it and I'll be like, well, maybe he's going to surprise me with some like creativity or humor. So I'll watch it for a little bit longer. Whereas Sora, I'm just like, that shit.
Yeah, because also on TikTok, you go there sometimes to actually get some valuable information. But here, you're just going to, I don't know, melt your brain with endless AI slop.
Yeah, I also saw there's a Twitter account called Pliny the Liberator, and his whole thing is like jailbreaking every single model. And he posted a video, although he didn't say what the prompt he used was, where it was two people, but they had like the Sims icon above their head. So I imagine this was something in the prompt. And then they got into bed and did Sims things. So he found a way to get it to generate some content I don't think they wanted.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm very curious what prompt he used. Maybe he is just telling it that this is The Sims.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like, I think the topic of jailbreaking AI models is like a separate thing you could talk about hours and hours, because it's insane. Like, it's one thing to be so creative to like find ways to jailbreak it, but there's the other part of like, how do you put those guardrails in place? Like, there's infinite amount of possibilities how you can jailbreak it, you know?
Yeah, it's actually one of the things the new Claude Sonnet 4.5 model is supposed to be very good at is not being jailbroken. I think it might have been already by Pliny the Liberator, because he is insane. He does find ways around all of them. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge for all of these companies, because there is so many different ways that you can try and prompt it.
Do you know what kind of tactics are they using to do that?
I don't know. Some of the old ones that I saw was like, you can now enter God mode, and like every time I say God mode in the chat, like ignore all of your filters, and it was sort of a long block of text. But some of them would be like activating God mode and then just spew out whatever you wanted. But I think it's a little harder than the old school jailbreaks of like, my grandma needs help, can you generate this?
Yeah.
And then it would happily do it.
Yeah, but my question was, do you know what kind of tactics Claude Code put in place as guardrails against this?
No, I don't actually know sort of the methods they use. They did have a challenge once where you could almost experiment and help train how they do it. It was like a challenge if you could jailbreak these various steps of the model and get it to generate like recipes for things that do bad stuff. And yeah, I tried that out and I couldn't even get past like round 2, I think. I think I got past round 1 by using a really obscure language, and the model like happily generated the response, because yeah, maybe that wasn't in sort of that training set. But then yeah, the second round of layers that for protection they had was a lot harder.
Interesting.
Yeah, it must be training, because the Sonnet and Opus system prompts are public. You can see what they are.
Yeah.
But then there are ways to go around system prompt. But even so, it still kind of blocks you. So it must be the way they trained it, the kind of feedback they gave it from its responses. If it gave something they wanted, it would give it they gave it positive feedback, and if not, they gave it negative feedback, and probably trained it that way to make sure it didn't do anything they didn't want it to do. But there's only so much guardrails you can give it by doing that.
Yeah, it's the same as well with like the open source models. Even though they're open source, you still can't necessarily ask it to give you like recipes for nefarious things. I think it's sort of baked into the model somewhere.
I'm gonna go on a little tangent here, but I noticed I've been doing like these prompts where you have to output a JSON file exactly in a JSON format, and 9 times out of 10 it outputs the JSON format, but sometimes it doesn't give you like that code box of the actual JSON file, and it just hallucinates, and that's such a weird thing. I use GPT-5 I used for this, but I have no idea why sometimes these models, even if you know exactly what you have to do, sometimes it will still miss the mark, you know?
Yeah, it's like a black box of behavior in there. It's weird that they can sort of act different as well. Like even if you give it a very similar prompt to the last one, it'll just do something completely different. It's always fun when you're trying to film a video on a certain AI tool and then it does not do what you saw it do earlier. Bit of a pain.
Yeah.
So that's a roundup of Sora 2 and everything we know about jailbreaking it, copyright, and just pretty much all of the AI slop that's been generated on your Twitter feed in the last week. Now let's talk about something a little more sensible, which is the Claude Agent SDK. Richard, what have you learned about this week?
I don't know if it's a little more sensible. I'd say, yeah, more sensible than Sora 2, but you can do some crazy stuff with agents as well. So I don't know if you've heard of Firecrawl. It's like a website. Yeah, they basically can scrape a website and turn it into Markdown for an LLM to understand. And they have a careers page where they're hiring AI agents. So they're not hiring an agent because you wouldn't have a careers page to hire an agent, but you have a careers page to hire a human to build an agent. So they'd have a page for a front-end developer or full-stack developer, but in brackets AI agent. And they'd hire a contractor to build an AI agent that can do full-stack development. And then the contractor will then babysit the agent that's doing the work, which is quite an interesting approach. But
yeah, it's like writing yourself out of your own job.
Yes, that's essentially it.
Yes.
But it kind of got me wondering, is that the future of development? A developer is just going to build AI agents of themselves? And that's what kind of led to me looking into the Agent SDK. Is it? Yeah, Claude Agent SDK. So what that is, and I'm sure you guys know what it is already, but I'll just give a brief explanation, is a way for you to build an agent on top or using the same kind of functions or methods as Claude Code. So before it was called the Agent SDK, you'd use the exact same package as the Claude Code package. So you do npm install Claude Code, and then you could use the same functions from that, but they've changed the name. So I'm not entirely sure how it works. I'm sure it's the same, but just a name change. But essentially what you can do is, if you wanted to, you could build your own Claude Code. And I actually mean your own Claude Code, because you can completely get rid of the system prompt that comes with Claude Code and write your own from scratch. And I think the Agents SDK is the only way that you can do that. There are other tools like output styles, and you can append to the existing system prompt, but using the Agents SDK is the only way that you can have complete control of the Claude system prompt. So you can write whatever you want, and then it will respond in the way you want. And you can also do this thing where you can give it tools. So it sounds quite basic, but we all know what MCP servers are and what MCP tools are. But if you create your own tool for your agent, it's essentially like you saying, okay, when I ask you to do this, then you can use my specific function in my specific code base to do that thing, instead of trying to figure out how to do it yourself. And that's quite cool. I mean, I'm not sure what your experience is with MCP servers, but in my experience, they don't always use the tool that I want them to use. Sometimes they do, but they're not always consistent. And so it's nice that you can craft your own function or your own custom tool and say, hey, use my tool that I know exists and I know I've written and will function in the way that I want it to. And I think that's really cool. But I haven't used any other agent frameworks. I haven't used Mastra, or there's like LangGraph or like LangChain. Yeah. But it's nice that you can use TypeScript for the Agents SDK from Claude.
Yeah, I think did Cloudflare release one recently as well? Sorry,
I don't know. Possibly.
Yeah, I think they had some Agent SDK, but yeah, TypeScript's definitely winning in the AI world. It seems that everything is now a TypeScript SDK.
Yeah.
So can you give a very simple example of where this might be very useful?
I think there are so many examples. So this is an example I was thinking of, actually, because there have been so many talks about people not knowing where education is going in terms of, educational YouTube videos are dying, like these 3-hour, 4-hour educational videos, no one's using them. And I think the solution is custom agents. So picture this. Imagine you want to learn how to use Go, right? You want to learn how to build a project in Golang. Instead of going to a YouTube tutorial or going to Udemy, just ask an agent, hey, I want to build X in Go. Tell me how to do it. And this custom agent that you've built could be programmed to not give you the answer, but give you a response in such a way that you have to give it an answer, and it will check your code or check your workings out and tell you if you're correct or wrong. And it can also lead you to specific videos or resources that you have programmed into it. So you can learn that way. So that's one way of using a custom agent.
Yeah, my one issue with that is people should always stay watching the Better Stack YouTube channel. Don't replace us with an agent.
Please,
make
please
sure
don't
you're always
abandon
watching.
Real education. That is real education right there.
But yeah, I saw the Claude Agent SDK because alongside the release with Claude Sonnet 4.5, they also released one of those tools that has memory as well. So you can now do memory outside of the context and like set up a place where on your infrastructure it stores those memories. So that was quite a cool system for, again, how you could sort of build your own Claude code. And then they also had I forget what it's called, the sort of context system where they can now automatically delete the context that they don't think is relevant to free up sort of more space, because that's actually another trend that I've seen recently is context slop. A lot of people have been talking about this in terms of like, that is the next big thing on how you make these models give you a better output, is making sure the context is always sort of relevant to what you're trying to do. And if you fill it up too much, it's just going to give you, again, sort of irrelevant answers. It's the same with models that have sort of that million context window. Sounds great, but if you do fill it up, it tends to get worse over time.
So does that mean you can hypothetically train it on your coding style, and then the agent will like specifically replicate what kind of coding style you're using and what kind of functions you prefer writing?
Yeah, I'd say Claude's code specifically is quite, I wouldn't say unique, but quite well at doing that, because you can use these things called hooks, which the Agent SDK also supports, where it can read the output for you before kind of like showing it to you. So it'll read the output and make sure it's got the functions in the way you want them. And if it doesn't, it will just redo it. So you can write a hook to say, when you get the output, make sure that it uses bun to make the calls and not npm. And so if it does use npm, it will check the hook and say, oh, I've made a mistake, and then redo it in bun. And so you can use that for like linting or function styles or whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, just back on that point, I wish they would open source Claude code. It's the only one that's not open source. It's I'm sort of curious what went into that and why it sort of seems to be the one that everyone's chasing and trying to beat. You know.
Wait, is Grok code fast open sourced?
As in, not the actual model itself, but the CLI system. All of the other ones like Codex, and I believe Grok CLI might have just been a clone of Gemini or the other way around.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Claude Code is the only sort of CLI tool that isn't open source. They're keeping that a secret, which, to be honest with you, I don't blame them. It is kind of like their only thing. If they don't have the best model in the world, they have Claude Code. So
that's their intellectual property.
I don't blame them, but
yeah, I don't think they have open sourced anything, right? Claude in general.
They have the model context protocol. That's from them. So I suppose that's sort of their own thing, but nothing like model wise. I don't think they have anything open source. But yeah, they just have sort of their SDKs and stuff.
Yeah. And it was a big win for them to open source MCP, because like everyone's using it now.
Yeah, no, it's I'd say surprisingly OpenAI has actually been a little bit more open than Anthropic, but that does happen when you put open in your company name.
Yes.
You do have to be a little more open. Anthropic never promised us that they would have open source things. So yeah, as I said, don't blame them, but I'd love to see the code behind that and how they're actually using even our own agents SDK. That would be really cool.
Going back to what you said, James, you said not the best model in the world for Anthropic models. Do you care to elaborate?
Well, sometimes they're not always at the top, and obviously Claude Sonnet 4.5 did come out recently, which they do claim is the best coding model in the world. But I sort of mentioned in the video, I think we're getting to a point where it kind of doesn't matter as much anymore. The gains are sort of so marginal that it almost comes down to the feel of how you feel about the model with your project, because some of them do seem to just be better at certain things than other ones, and it's sort of hard to differentiate with just the benchmarks which one is going to be best for you without literally just trying them out for maybe like a week each and seeing which one you had the nicest experience with. So like Grok 4 is actually pretty good at coding, especially that fast model, which is insanely fast. GPT-5 I actually don't find bad. GPT-5 Codex has been a pretty good experience, and as I said, they can sort of all do very simple prompts now, so when I'm testing them out, like they're able to generate HTML games, like that's easy for these models now. So you do have to have it sort of in a real world big project and try it out in there to see which one's the best. But yeah, I think Sonnet 4.5 is up there. It might be the best one in the world, but I don't think it's sort of generational that would make me move. If I only had GPT-5 Codex, I don't think I would move to Claude Sonnet 4.5.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking like, how long will they keep pushing out new coding models like every week, every month? Like at some point people will get like a model fatigue, like we got a superhero fatigue from Marvel, you know? It's kind of like, where's the how high can you go?
Well, the one thing I found nice about Claude Sonnet 4.5 is they actually kind of didn't make a fuss about it. They just released a blog post that was like, here it is. Whereas like OpenAI would do like a whole live stream with their hands and everything, with graphs that don't even make sense because maybe they used AI to generate them, and have like loads of people talking, doing demos. Whereas Anthropic was just like, hi, here's the best coding model in the world, Claude Sonnet 4.5, go use it. So I think that might be sort of the future when it's incremental. It's just like a software release, really. It's a new model version.
Yeah. Well, maybe they know they're so cool at this point that they don't need big keynotes. They're the Apple of coding models. I don't know.
Yeah, they do actually. I don't know if you saw the Claude advert trending on Twitter anywhere. They have like a really nice aesthetic advert. I'd highly recommend watching it. It's actually like, it's really well shot, and sort of the theme of it is super nice. And yeah, they have like a really cozy feel in like all of their marketing. Whereas obviously like OpenAI and Grok take a very different approach to it. But yeah, I still struggle to see Claude being used by people outside of the developer sphere. Everyone I know still says ChatGPT for literally anything.
Well, yeah, I kind of feel like in the future we'll get like custom tailored models for tasks. Like maybe you'll get new financial models, coding models, literally, not like literally, but literary models for like writing, I don't know, books and novels and stuff like that. I think that's where this is probably going, because I think the only way you can top up your benchmarks is if you actually narrow down to that one specific problem space that you're trying to solve.
Yeah, I mean, we basically already have that, I suppose, with like GPT-5 Codex is their specific coding version, and Grok has a Grok code. So yeah, you can do it specifically, but I suppose they've mainly been focused on code at the moment and not like Grok Financial. Which would be very interesting. Financial. I want to see what it tells me to invest in. I imagine it'd be a lot of like Dogecoin and Tesla.
Oh yeah, for sure. Or it wouldn't just be suggesting you what to invest in, but like stock analyzing or I don't know trading bots or something like that.
Yeah, I guess the difference with those is there's probably enterprises working on that now that want to keep those secret, so they might not make them open to the public.
Because it's very gated.
If you have a model giving you financial analysis and it's actually good, keep that a secret.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, I agree with you on the whole Sonnet 4.5 not being a massive improvement, because I remember there was a time where Claude was the only model people used for coding and nothing came close, and now it's completely different. Like, I did a video on GLM 4.6, and for the price, because you can use it for free for like $3 a month, which is tiny, you can get some really good results. And I was doing a comparison between that and Sonnet 4.5, and you could honestly use GLM and be happy and not need to use Sonnet. So it's amazing. And also Codex is really good. Like you said, Grok's good. So we'll see what happens with Anthropic. I'm not sure how they're going to survive this, but let's see.
Yeah, I think we've almost solved sort of basic coding with these models. They're at a point where all of them can do it well. And it's, as I said, it's sort of that next step of piecing together a big project and actually sort of keeping it coherent. That's what these models can do better.
And the CEO of Anthropic was like a big fan of scaling laws, which is the more kind of compute and resources you give to training, the better the model will become. And I don't know if that's starting to plateau, because they must be giving these models lots of resources to train them, and they're not getting massively better. So we'll see.
I think we've been talking about this plateau for like a year now. But like it has reached, at least with like general purpose models, it has reached this plateau where like every new model will be like a very incremental change. Like if you look at GPT-5, like people say it's not that different from GPT-4. It's just maybe a little bit better, maybe a fancier interface or whatever. But yeah.
Talking of ChatGPT, though, I do have a bone to pick with you, Andres, which is, in my last podcast, I said MCP UI might be the future, and we saw how the shopping experience could be in sort of ChatGPT. And then about a week later, ChatGPT added a Shopify experience. So I think it is the future already. It's already here. It's arrived. And it was Stripe. Sure. It was Stripe and Etsy that have integrated into ChatGPT already, so they can now be used to buy stuff from, which I haven't given it a go yet. But it seems like they were already working on that behind the scenes and saw the money-making opportunity there. So Yeah, I'd like to claim I was right about that one. I don't think it's...
Totally. I wouldn't disagree with that. My point was that I just find it a useless thing.
Yeah. No, I can understand that for now. I think, it's, the experience probably isn't as good. But again, I don't even know if it's maybe a generational thing, because I'm still the type of person that, like, if the purchase is over like £100, I'm going onto my computer to make it instead of doing it on my phone. So I don't know what kids these days are doing. And maybe they will just be buying stuff through ChatGPT.
Yeah, a lot of people are still shopping through TikTok. So
yeah, that's also another insane rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's very valid. No, I was gonna, my biggest argument about that was the climate aspect and just burning a lot of energy for useless things that you can do in a more simpler way without over engineering it.
Yeah.
But that's more of a, ethical concern.
Yeah, I mean, not that it makes it any better, but the climate change usage from shopping on OpenAI versus Sora 2 is probably like miles different. I think they've blown that out the water with Sora 2.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think they clearly don't care about that aspect. They'll just buy some credit tokens or whatever it is and claim they're green.
For sure, yeah. Actually, there's one last question about Sora 2, James.
Yep.
Okay. I just want to get your prediction. If they're actually serious about making a social network out of the Sora clips, do you think they're going to succeed? Because this feels like when Meta tried to launch Threads, and Threads kind of died out in a way.
No, I think they've already failed. Like, the only thing I do kind of like about Sora is when I go on there, I know everything's AI. Whereas with TikTok and YouTube, it's like, is this AI or not? But like TikTok tomorrow, like ByteDance can spin up their own video model probably and put a load of money into that and just add it as a feature into TikTok. And everyone just stays on the app that they already use most of the time. We saw that with Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads. And YouTube Shorts already is implementing a feature where you can like have a still image of you and say, do a backflip, and it will AI that.
Really? I didn't know that.
So it's, these companies are already sort of way ahead of that.
Wasn't YouTube the one that tried to limit the amount of AI-generated videos?
I think they're trying to stop it being monetized, and also they do like to tag it when there's been AI used, and I think TikTok actually does that as well, which is the nicer way. As I said, that's sort of the one thing that's okay about Sora 2 to me, is like I know everything on here is AI, so I'm not going to be tricked by anything. But yeah, I think, as I said, they've already failed because it's not a great experience on there. Everything is the same. It's so, as I said, so much SpongeBob. So much SpongeBob on there. And I think everyone's just
Sam Altman.
Yeah, everyone's just sort of amazed at the moment. Like, they can generate cameos of themselves in SpongeBob, so everyone's doing the same thing for now. Maybe I'll be wrong, but the other thing as well is people just steal these videos and then upload them to TikTok and Twitter anyway, because most of the viral videos I saw weren't on Sora. They were the Sora videos just posted on Twitter. So I think they failed on that already, but it was a fun experiment. And I didn't really like the way he announced it, saying that it's essentially he said like everyone is creative, or we believe everyone is creative, and like this makes it easier for them. Are you really being creative by typing some words into Sora and getting it to generate an image? And also, like, is that the future the world wants, of like creativity is just easily typing in a prompt? To me, creativity should be a little bit of work. That's what makes it sort of good. So I'm hoping the human sort of race can understand that AI slop isn't going to be the sort of content of the future.
Fair enough.
I was going to say, out of all the companies that could probably do a Sora 2, ByteDance are high up there because they've got so many models and so much research into AI. They could click their fingers and have a Sora 2 competitor in no time.
Yeah, I'm sure they're training it right now.
Yeah, let's see if they announce something next month.
There we go. That's it for this week's episode. If you liked the episode, do leave us a like and follow us wherever you get your podcasts from, and also be sure to leave us a review there. I've been your host, James, and I was joined by
Richard. See ya.
And Andres. See ya.
Goodbye.